being specific about your goals matters because if you just say, I'm going to lose weight and go on a diet, what does that actually mean to you? And how are you going to get there? So, before you even set the goal, there's something more important that I want you to understand. It is a new year, and we all know what that usually means: new goals, new habits, and a new you. But let me ask you something. How many times have you set a New Year's resolution without actually thinking through what it would require to sustain it? Most of us do the same thing every year. We say we're going to go work out more, we're going to lose weight, we're going to spend less, we're going to save more money. Whatever the goal is, we throw it out to the universe with really good intentions, but without a real plan. And that's exactly why so many New Year's resolutions don't stick. They're not built on intention. So today, I want to do something different. Instead of talking about resolutions, I want to talk about realignment. And I'm going to share 4 things that will actually help you stick to your goals this year without burning yourself out by the end of January. I mean, let's think about this. How many times have you or people you know said they're going to start going to the gym? Or maybe you go to the gym all the time now, like I do, and the first 2 weeks of January, the gym is packed. You can hardly get on the equipment or the machines that you normally get on because so many people have decided to go to the gym. And give it about 2, maybe 3 weeks tops, they're all gone. And here's the truth: it's almost impossible to hit a goal if you don't define it clearly. Think about that. Take working out, for example. Saying, I'm going to start working out sounds really great, but what does that actually mean? What time of day are you going to commit to if you are going to start working out? And how many days a week are you going to work out? And how long will each one of your workout sessions actually be? Is this temporary or is this a long term change that you're trying to make? Because without these answers, those questions, the goal will stay vague. And vague goals are very easy to abandon, especially when our lives start to get busy. We throw all that shit out the door. Being specific about your goals matters because if you just say, I'm going to lose weight and go on a diet, what does that actually mean to you? And how are you going to get there? So, before you even set the goal, there's something more important that I want you to understand. I call this realignment, not a New Year's resolution, because realignment matters for one simple reason. Life changes us. Whether we acknowledge or not, it's the fact. What worked for you 5 years ago, or maybe even 1 year ago, is not going to work for you now. What motivated you in your 20s, your 30s, your 40s, especially if you're in your 50s and 60s, it's not going to work for you today. And realignment gives you permission to update your plan. So let's make this real so that it makes more sense. Maybe your goal isn't to lose weight. Maybe it's to feel better in your body without punishing it at the gym every single day and starving yourself to death. Maybe it's not to save money, but to stop spending out of stress or avoidance or comfort. People do spend money because they're avoiding something, or instead of eating for comfort, they go shopping. And maybe it's not to be more productive, maybe it's to protect your energy so you don't feel depleted all the time. Those are realignments and not resolutions. They focus on why you want to change, not just what change is. I want to share something personal because it's very fitting for this topic and idea of realignment. I launched my book, The Ripple Effect, on December 1st. Woohoo! The book is about how I overcame some of the hardest moments of my life, beating cancer 4 times, surviving 3 strokes, 2 brain aneurysms. At the end of each chapter, I share the core lessons that I learned, and I ask you, the readers, very reflective questions, questions that help you to understand how your experiences shaped you or how they are shaping you, your values, your boundaries, your strength. But here's the part most people don't see. At the beginning of 2025, I knew one thing for sure, and that was this was going to be the year that I was going to launch my book. What I didn't know was how was that going to happen? There was no roadmap, there was no checklist, just a decision that mattered to me enough to figure it out. So instead of overwhelming myself, I started to do the research that was necessary to figure out what does it actually take to launch a book? And once I started to understand the process, I set a date. I told myself I am going to launch this book on December 1st of 2025. I didn't put pressure on myself with weekly goals or unrealistic expectations. I gave myself a very long term goal to aim for, essentially 11 months. And that timeline mattered because it gave me direction. It didn't put pressure on me. But here's where the realignment came in. I had to realign my schedule. I have a full time job, so I needed to create space to finish what I'd written over the previous years. I had to find an editor, a designer for the book cover, people who could help me make it real. And that meant saying no to things because I had to rework my priorities, protecting me and my time. And let me tell you, it wasn't easy. But I hit the goal, and that's what matters the most. The book was live on Amazon by December 1st. And that was such an incredible feeling, not just because the book launched, but because the process actually worked. I was very thoughtful and strategic about making sure I was going to hit this goal by December 1st. And putting a timeline on something, it's not about pressure. It's about giving you direction and about giving you that visual of, okay, this is the timeline that is giving me something to aim for. It's a reason to plan. It's a way to break a big goal into manageable steps because realignment isn't about your mindset and realigning your mindset, but it's also about structure. So let's turn this into something practical. I want to give you both the questions to get clear and the steps to move forward to help you achieve your goals. And you don't have to do all of this today. Just start thinking about it and ask yourself these questions. What feels out of alignment in my life right now? And why does it feel out of alignment? What goal am I chasing out of pressure versus desire or maybe purpose? What needs to change in my schedule to support this goal? And that's a big one because whether you're talking about weight loss, working out, spending less money, all of that is time, right? If you're used to going out and spending money, you get your time back and you've got to figure out this new goal that you're setting for yourself is now giving you some freedom that you can use to do something else. For instance, I had to create time to write and finish this book that I wrote. And so that meant I was getting up at 4 a.m. and I was staying up until 11 p.m. And those were hours I sacrificed a lot. I gave up a lot of things in order to make this goal happen. These questions will help you understand what needs to shift in your schedule. Now, let's talk about how do you actually do it. Step number one is you need to get specific enough to succeed. Vague goals, as I talked about, they don't stick. So you need to ask yourself, when is this going to happen? How often? For how long? Being specific doesn't mean you need to be rigid. It means get very realistic. Step two, realign your schedule. This is where most people get stuck. Look at your calendar and ask what needs to move, what needs to go, and what needs to be protected. If it's not on your calendar, it's not a priority, it's a wish. And we don't make those kind of things come true, right? That's why we're doing this exercise right now, because it could be, I wish I would lose weight in 2026. Well, let's get this plan together so that wish turns into reality. Step number three, identify support. Realignment is not a solo sport. Ask yourself, do I need accountability, especially if I'm trying to lose weight or I want to start working out or create a workout routine? Who do you need in order to hold you accountable to make sure that happens? For me, this past year, when I hired my editing team and my book designer, that meant accountability because we all had this timeline we were working against and we were all holding each other accountable for it. We were working weekends to get things done. Do you need somebody to give you guidance? Do you need a coach? Do you need somebody to encourage you? Do you need professional help? Needing support doesn't mean that you're failing. It means that you're serious and that you want to achieve this goal that you are realigning yourself for in 2026. The last step is setting a timeline that works with you, not for you, but with you, because you already have a life, you already have a job, you have things that you're doing today. Timelines are not about pressure. Again, they're about giving you direction. A good timeline gives you something to aim for. It allows for flexibility. It reduces anxiety instead of creating it when you're setting this goal. And ask yourself, what timeline helps me stay consistent without burning out? Think about people who set these New Year's resolutions and they go gangbusters in the month of January. Absolutely gangbusters. And as we've talked about, those first couple weeks in the gym are going to be really packed, but then people start dropping like flies because they can't stick to it. They didn't set a realistic goal. You could actually start working out just 3 days a week if you're used to not working out at all. If you go from 0 to 5 and you're not used to that, it may be too much for you. It is absolutely okay to take baby steps and increase your intensity and your time over time and not all in one swoop. Pick a timeline that works for and with your schedule. You can revisit this process anytime that you start to feel stuck or off course, but it's really important to realign yourself. I'm going to drop all these things in the show notes. So when you go back to set your goals, you'll want to ask yourself the questions and you'll want to work through each and every one of these steps to help support your ability to stick to it. You don't need to rush into the new year and set these goals today. Realigning your goals so they fit your life, your energy, and who you are today is going to help you stick to it. If it takes you 2 weeks to put this plan together, but you stick to it over the long term, you've served yourself. Because if you just say, you know what, I'm going to lose weight, I'm going to go on a diet, What's your plan? Do you have a plan? Most people don't. They just say they're going to do it, and that doesn't work. That only works for a couple of weeks. These are things to help your goals be more achievable without pressure, but with direction instead. And here's to a year that moves you forward, one that aligns to what you are trying to achieve. I'm wishing you all the best in realigning yourself for 2026 and ensuring that you hit that realignment goal that you've set for yourself. Until next time.